Hello and welcome to Chaturday Live. My name is Jason Robinson. I'm the host and welcome and thank you very much for joining us. Bear with me 2 seconds. I want to make sure that everybody's got what they need. I'll sort that out in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. For those that are joining us who are fans of obviously today's guest, we do appreciate you coming over. Your comments will come through live if you comment on the show as well. So any questions you do have for today's guest, we can answer them live in the show. Anything about wrestling or any questions about extreme sports in general, we'll try and answer on the show. So just keep fingering them across and we'll go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for joining. Last week we missed the show for personal reasons. Nobody's hurt. Everybody's okay. It was just purely a case of that we couldn't go live last week. So thank you very much for sticking around and welcome back for this week. So on tonight's show, normally we go live during the day, afternoon, midweek. It depends when our guest is free. This week we're free at 8 o'clock in the evening. We're going to be talking about wrestling. It sounds like a very niche corner of the market, but I assure you, probably everybody that's watching has either seen, watched, or experienced wrestling in some way, shape, or form in their younger or adult life. And we're going to enjoy this experience. That's the idea this evening, to enjoy the idea of it. And today's guest is going to give us an insight of the reason why he got into wrestling and the business, Target Wrestling. So we'll enjoy it. Before I interview and bring on the guest for today, I'm going to show you a quick clip, and this is why.
Tailor-made razor blade, cut of the cloth as a gladiator with Chaturday on 808. I'm like Johnny Mnemonic, the body highly robotic, shoot a microscopic laser rays. You ain't know? We rebooted Alcohol 2.0. Don't be stupid, run when you got the chance, cause this time, big game bots in there. Don't hesitate, I'll decimate. It ain't nothing to push a button to detonate. Spit fire and trip wire, you get blew up. Let's go, suit up.
Good evening, Mr. Ryan Devlin. How are we?
Oh, I'm excellent. Thank you very much. And that video just brought back just some great memories of times before all this, when we could put on shows and, get close to each other. I was just getting a bit emotional watching that one.
Yeah, don't get too upset. Don't upset.
I know.
We're here to hopefully enlighten people to the idea of the extreme sport that is wrestling. Mr. Ryan Devlin, co-creator of Target Wrestling, based here in Cumbria, Carlisle. How the devil are you?
Oh, well, not too bad, Saturday night, and, we've got nothing on at the moment, so keep them well, I suppose, as best you possibly can when there's absolutely nothing to do apart from go to work and watch Netflix all day and stuff like that. So, yeah, all good.
All good. I'm glad you're well. We're all well, and I hope everybody else who's watching as well is well. So the reason why we got you on the show is because I stumbled across your page because a guest that I've got coming on eventually in the future as well told me about your page, and as soon as I had a look at it, I went, wow, what a flashback to my youth right there. I mean, I generally don't watch wrestling at the moment, or have done for a very long while, and I apologize if it offends any wrestling fans out there, but as soon as I saw the videos and the posts and the stuff you were putting up, I was like, oh my God, I have to get you on my show. What a flashback. So where did wrestling start with you before we even get to Target Wrestling? I mean, how does wrestling fit into Ryan's life?
Oh, it's been a part of my life since I was probably 7 or 8 years old, I would say. And I think I just stumbled upon it accidentally, just as everyone kind of did when you're kids in the 90s. You just flicking through the channels, and then wrestling comes on, and I was just completely in love with it from the moment I first watched it. I think the first thing I watched was maybe the Royal Rumble in either 99 or 2000. It was one of those things. And I just put it on. It was obviously a repeat because it wasn't on live, because it would have been at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I was just watching it like, what is this? You know what I mean? So I was just like, it's completely in love with it. From there, just started going to kind of WWE shows, and my family was taking me to WWE shows, all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of fell out of love with wrestling for a little while, as you kind of do. Probably when I was like 12 or 13, wrestling isn't cool when you're in school and you're trying to impress people and stuff like that. But then, out of absolutely nowhere, and I remember it clear as day, because I was still like a bit of a closet wrestling fan, tried to keep in touch with it, even though like it wasn't popular and people weren't watching it anymore. But then out of absolutely nowhere, wrestling became really popular again with all my friends and with people I think people basically got to the point where they were like, we all like wrestling. It doesn't matter if we're trying to be cool, but everyone likes wrestling. So let's just openly talk about wrestling and enjoy wrestling. And then, I just sort of got back into it through friends and started watching what was TNA back then in the kind of 2007 to 2008 era. Just completely fell in love with wrestling all over again. And then it hasn't really stopped from there to the point where I loved it so much that I just wanted to get involved in actually doing wrestling and, shows and actually physically wrestling, not anymore, but I have done in the past. Just to kind of take that step to try and make it. The whole goal was always to try and make it my life and my livelihood and my job, which, probably isn't going to happen, but it was, that was always the goal, and to try and get into wrestling as best I possibly can. And yeah, that's basically my story with it, to be honest.
Well, so for those that are watching, I've got a bit of an echo coming back. That could be my issue. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Probably mine.
It's more than likely mine. Let's try that one. That seems like it's probably a better idea. Yes. I think it's good. So yeah. Like, if I connect my nostalgia to your nostalgia, and hopefully there's a few people that are watching that aren't necessarily wrestling fans right now will agree that they've probably come across wrestling at some point in their life. So there's me, probably the same age you was, 8-9 years old. And at the time, I think it was like this, 75 kilo Sky remote that we had in the house, thing, massive dish outside. And yeah, you come across WWF. Okay, we can't say that because of what it is, but it was WWF, if I'm correct, at the right age, with all these WWF superstars and, like you say, this massive entertainment ring, American stadiums full with people, the old fingers and the big beer, and you're like, oh my God, this is such an amazing thing, and I've got a brother that is exactly a year younger than me. So when I was 8, obviously this sudden emergement through my mind was like, I can choke slam him on the sofa. That's why I have a little brother. Now this is what I've got into.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I actually, and I don't know if he's watching, but he'll probably maybe watch it back. My brother, he's again very similar. He's like 3 years old, 3 years younger than me, and we were once wrestling. There was me and a mate, and we were just wrestling which is so weird to think like now we were all just wrestling on my bed. It's like but that's what you did when you were kids. You pretended you were The Rock. We had WWF like Volume 5 or something, come out to Triple H and The Rock's music. But anyway, I can't remember how it happened, but my bed, and I had a wardrobe next to my bed, and it was like, square wardrobe, all that kind of stuff. And I think I must have either gave him some sort of angle slam, or it was some sort of maybe suplex, and his head just went flying into the back of the wardrobe, split his head open, straight to casualty. He had to get his head glued, and he's still got the scar today, and he's bald now. So he's got this big old scar on his head, and he it's like looks like he's had a war wound or something, been into an actual fight on a Saturday night out. It's like no, I happened when I was like 6, wrestling on a bed.
So even though you're the one that's really, really into wrestling, your brother now has a wrestling scar for the rest of his
Exactly.
life. He has it literally ingrained in his body, wrestling. So
Exactly.
I can imagine he's going out for a drink with his mate saying, yeah, Bahamas, shark bite. Oh, you should have
Yeah.
seen it. Just
Yeah.
just cover that up.
Last bottle in Magaluf, you should see the older bloke.
Yeah, I mean, we've got questions coming in. I will get to your questions. I promise we will show them up on the screen. We will get you involved. But I'm looking at the questions, and you're jumping a little bit too far ahead for what we're trying to get to. So again, with wrestling, for those that are there, if you are watching and you're commenting, could you please, for our nostalgia, mine and Ryan's, could you just please name the wrestler, the first wrestler you saw on TV that you wanted to either be like or you enjoyed watching? Just see if we can get anybody from age gaps, because you'll know a little bit better than I will, Ryan, about names of wrestlers. But we'll see how far you can go. Just stick the name up of a wrestler that who obviously you've seen on TV or remember, or like you say, aspired to be when you were age. So again, wrestling was there. It was very, very big in the 90s. I remember that we had a PlayStation 1. If you didn't own WWF SmackDown, the little blue CD for your PlayStation 1 at any point, I don't know if you was ever a child, to be honest with you.
That was one of the best wrestling games ever, really, isn't it? SmackDown and SmackDown 2, Know Your Role. I've still got it upstairs. I still plug it into the old AVTV.
Yes. Yes. So wrestling's there. It's this form of entertainment. Now, before we go any further, I think we have to get rid of this massive stigma, because there's this argument that stipulates between 7-year-olds up to 47-year-olds and 97-year-olds. What is wrestling? Okay, we can openly say here that wrestling is, in all effect, it is entertainment. It's extreme entertainment. It is what it is. And as you've said to me before, when we have our pre-interview chats and talk about what we're going to talk about, we'll put the nail in the coffin. We'll put it to bed. Okay. So wrestling itself is an extreme entertainment. Okay. What you see in the ring is real, because if you've ever gone to a live show, you can blatantly see someone's being put into the canvas pretty hard. And like you say, for all intensive purposes, it's the same as if you go, like you say, you watch any other sport. The idea is that there's a lot of training that goes behind it. It's professional. It's not just guys off the street, just like, oh, we've had a few Bacardis and we're just going to knock heads with each other. This is trained athletes doing a sport of entertainment. So we will leave it at that. So if there's ever an argument of people going, oh, this is fake, I said, I'd like to see how you could fake land somebody on their head. Please tell me how you fake that. That's that's live. That is serious stuff.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. Really, is extreme entertainment. It's a sport in that the effort and the the skill that goes into it is like a sport, but it's extreme entertainment, and it's definitely not fake, as I've found out. So, because people, I think, because our shows at the Target shows, people are so close to the action, literally that you're talking maybe 3 feet, from the front row to the ring. And we're very, very, fan friendly at our shows. So even after the show's finished, all the wrestlers are out cracking to all of the to the fans in attendance. I'm going around speaking to all these people. But whilst that's going on, you can really see the ring getting taken down, because we need to get the ring in the van and off to the pub or wherever we're going. So people look at the ring and they're like, oh my god, they think it's going to be huge crash mats underneath the ring, or springs, or sometimes people have that stigma of it's going to be almost like a bouncy trampoline, kind of like a soft landing thing, but it's not. It's literally wood, a bit of mat, and then the canvas, So it's underneath the wood is metal bars, huge metal bars,
yes, to keep the
structure straight. It's not like jumping on a trampoline. No, it's definitely takes it out of you. Every bump that you take is definitely a sore one.
I think. I think we've got. I've seen it. Like you say, I've seen some amateur shows as well on the on TV when they've done bits and bobs, like celebrities may have tried wrestling or whatever it is, and I've watched it. And you can see them when they lift up the canvas and they say, "This is it. This is it." They've not gone to DFS or Dreams and got Posturepedic mattresses, and everybody's happy. This is serious stuff. We're going to reel some of these off now. I'm going to quickly put them up on the
Cool.
screen because it's only fair. So, Mr. Perfect, do you remember him?
Yes, yeah. Well, Mr. Perfect was a bit before my time, in
Okay.
terms of watching wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was more kind of late 90s, and Mr. Perfect was still kind of around. I think he was in like WCW and stuff like that. But when I think of Mr. Perfect, think about classic early 90s, late 80s WWF, you know what I mean? And I watch all that good stuff.
We know Rey Mysterio.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you got CM Punk. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got Macho Man Randy Savage coming. Yes. So again, like you say, you can tell people's ages and classics with ages. So you can go back. I mean, there's household names. You've got Hulk Hogan, which is 80s, 90s. Like you say, you've got that was it. There was the film, wasn't there, with the snake. What was his name? Jake the Snake, is it?
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that film, that was fantastic. And I think there was a film called The Wrestler as well. That was another wrestler. I can't remember who that was. If anybody knows, please
There was a one behind Beyond the Mat, it's called, which was a big kind of almost expose, I think, of professional wrestling, and didn't go down too well. But then there was an actual film, that was more of a documentary, whereas there was an actual film with Mickey Rourke in the mid 2000s. Was it mid 2000s or late 2000s? Can't remember. Called The Wrestler, which was fantastic. It's one of my favorite films. Honestly, I love it. Absolutely love it, because it's such. Although some people in wrestling don't like how much it actually delves into the backstage and the reality of wrestling and what wrestling is like on some of these small indie shows. I just thought it was fantastic. It was a brilliant documentary. And then there's also the documentary which I actually think did a lot of good for wrestling. Although I didn't watch it live, it's one of those ones that you watch back. Yes. Was the Louis Theroux documentary in the late 90s. He did a documentary on WCW, and he went to the power plant and trained with WCW. And it kind of there was a documentary before it, which kind of almost exposed wrestling as, not a real sport. They're not really fighting, for an outcome or anything like that. Whereas Louis Theroux's documentary, I think, kind of tipped that again to think, well, you think it's fake. Well, here's some random guy, which we're going to get off the street and see how he does. He's spewed up within 5 minutes. So that actually did a lot of good to bring wrestling back, I think, even though it had been exposed. It was, so there's been tons of that kind of stuff, over the years, definitely.
I think, with wrestling. So we'll go again. So obviously there was WWF. Then it changed its name overnight because of a lawsuit reason. I think it was to save the pandas. So it went to WWE. So it was Wrestling Entertainment in the end. Was that right?
World Wrestling Entertainment. Yeah, that's the one.
Right, yes,
that's what it is now.
Obviously, back then you had the Steel Cage, you had obviously SmackDown, you had the Royal Rumble, and stuff like that. Now, obviously, because I knew you were coming on and we'd talk, and obviously I did a little bit of research. It seems like there's a wrestling event every day of the week, at every hour of the week, somewhere in the world. So you've got Monday Night Raw now. You've got obviously Friday nights on different channels in America. I mean, it's fair to say that the Americans love it. They live for it.
Yeah, it's almost oversaturated now in America, really, because you've got WWE who run Raw, then they do NXT. You've got SmackDown. There's a pay-per-view pretty much every 2 or 3 weeks. Because you've got like NXT pay-per-views, then you've got WWE pay-per-views, then you've got AEW, which are on Wednesday nights, and that's another thing. So, and then I think there's TNA. It's now Impact Wrestling. I think that is, I don't know what day that is on in America, to be honest. I watch it when I get a chance, but that's on a Tuesday. You've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday wrestling just to watch every day if you're in America. But I think that is a bit of an issue now.
I think the excuse of saying I'm not going to be free tonight, there's wrestling on, doesn't really fly with the wife anymore when it's every night.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
It's all right. Ryan on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock, I lose him. I put the kids to bed. I know he's got his Saturday night wrestling thing. Now it's on every night of the week. It's like, what's going on here? So I've got my ace in the hole, just like you probably do. There's a gentleman that's just joined in now, Carl Moore. He knows wrestling. He knows probably just as much as you do. So he's going to throw some questions at me as well. He's going to be my ace in the hole, my commenter. He's going to be like on the black market of the internet in the comments section, firing the harsh questions at you. So be looking out for Carl for me.
Okay. That's why I've just seen this comment there. That's why I'm single.
So we've got questions, obviously, about heavyweight championship. We'll get to that. I promise we will put those comments up. So, okay. So young age, wrestling. We've all been there. We've got there. So as you said, you've expanded. So wrestling kind of disappeared. We grew up. It's like, oh, okay, it wasn't cool for me anymore at school. You know, it was all about the pogs and stuff like that, if you remember that. And then it's come back into your life. So where does Ryan Devlin and Target Wrestling, where does this merge and how does this happen? And, you know, what do we expect from Target Wrestling?
Yeah, so Target Wrestling for me was it's completely changed my life and give me ridiculous opportunities outside of Target as well, which, you know, so basically what happened was I was 19 or 20, I can't remember now, and I really wanted to get into wrestling in terms of going to actually do shows and be a part of shows. And I was under no illusion whatsoever that I wasn't going to be a wrestler. Like, you know, even then, when I was probably half the size I am now and way more sporty, you know, playing football, all that kind of stuff, I even then knew I wasn't gifted enough to be a wrestler. But I wanted to be in wrestling and do something. So there was a promotion in Carlisle at the time called Triple Team Promotions, which was ran by Dave and John Natras, who were the Natras boys, and they'd been part of wrestling and the Carlisle wrestling scene for probably a decade before, from that point, a decade, you know, that kind of thing. And so I messaged the Triple Team Promotions page and I just said, you know, I really want to get involved and I'll, you know, whether I could do help with social media or whether I could, you know, just help with the music, set the chairs out, whatever you want me to do, I'm available. I want to be a part of it. And it was Dave who messaged me back and basically said, well, we're all starting a new venture called Target Wrestling, and would you like to be a part of that? And I was like, yes, absolutely, 100%. Couldn't think of anything better. And at that time, Target Wrestling was run by, well, at the very beginning, it was run by John Natras, who was one of the guys behind Triple Team Promotions, and a guy called Will Cochran, who was kind of the he was like had a lot of TV background and events promotion, that kind of stuff. So the two of them ran Target when I got involved, and I literally was just like, I'll do anything, whatever you need me to do. You know, I'm here. Help set the chairs out. I'll ring the bell. That'll be great. That was like my aspirations at the very start. Was like, if I could just ring the ring bell at the start and end of the matches, like, great. I'm involved. Fantastic. And it's quite a long story leading up to where we are now. But basically, over the years, I've done every single job I think possible there is to do in Target. So I started off literally that first show in 2013, just putting the chairs out. And as luck would have it, I actually refereed that show because the guy who was refereeing that show wasn't in the end, let's say that. So they needed a referee. They offered me to actually referee a match at the start of the show. So I was like, oh, buzzing completely to be a part of that. And then I ended up refereeing the whole show. And it all just kind of snowballed from there, basically, where I ended up being like the ring announcer, and then we had a training school. So I was training to be a wrestler there. I say attempting to be a wrestler, let's say. But ring announcing was my main thing that I wanted to do. And then in around about 2015, I think it was, so Target had been around for about 2 years, and we were really picking up pace, like really picking up. We'd gone from 30 people on the first show to about 250 people in a few of the shows. Right. Within the space of a year or two, it had really jumped in popularity a lot, and there's so many reasons for that, but which we'll get into. But in terms of what my role was, and then an opportunity came up where Will couldn't continue. He didn't feel like he wanted to step back basically from Target for a little while. So he said, how would you feel about taking the reins and taking his place and kind of running with the promotion? I was like, that was my dream, I mean, I was happy being the ring announcer and doing the social media and all that. And then someone said, would you like to not have the company, but would you like to run it? Would you like to take this forward? And from there, we just tried to make it as big as possible. And then basically that lasted for me around about 2 years, kind of at the helm of being the main promoter of the shows. And then around about 2 years ago, was it 2.5 years ago, I was really just thinking I need to step back from that role because it takes so much out of you. I couldn't believe the first. I see this. This is from promoting wrestling. I should be bald, but I'm just kind of. I was looking at pictures of myself from 4 years ago. I had lovely hair, nice and slim. It wasn't grey. And 2 years of wrestling just completely takes it out of you. But yeah, so I had to at that point step back. It was getting so much for me, and I knew that me and my missus were going to start a family and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought I can't, unfortunately, juggle all of these things at once with a full-time job and all that kind of stuff. So I stepped back, and now John runs Target. So there's been 3 of us at the helm, even though John has been with us the whole way because he's been, the partner, I suppose, throughout the whole journey. And over the past 2 to 2.5 years, John has been kind of the main promoter and the main man. Really, he's done an absolutely awesome job. Honestly, I couldn't believe how good of a job John's done over the last couple of years. It's been fantastic, and I've been there to kind of run the social media again, do the ring announcing, all that kind of good stuff. All the stuff that basically doesn't lose my hair. So that's been me the last couple of years. And yeah, so me and John, we kind of co-run is the word that we're looking for at the moment, but John is still John is the main guy. He's the final guy at the moment. So yeah, and that leads us up to present day, where we are now sat at home, not being able to put on any shows. So
well,
it's quite a journey, and there's been so much happening over that time. It's hard to say into just one question what has happened over that time. It has been a massive journey for us all, and life-changing journey for us all as well, definitely. And so much has happened in between that time.
Well, let's talk wrestling. Let's get in it.
Yeah.
So obviously, Target Wrestling itself is its own entity. You have big name wrestlers coming to Target Wrestling,
Yes.
household names. They come and fight at your matches and exhibition matches wherever you go and perform. Me and you were speaking about some of them. It was flashback to the past, like you say, like Scotty Too Hotty and stuff like that. It's well, oh my God, these people, I remember these people. But like you say, my ace in the hole is Carl. I mean, he's clogging up my comment section. I'm going to fire some of these at you now. So this will probably make sense to you, but not to me. So with AEW, is that amateur wrestling?
That's a promotion. Okay. In America.
On the rise. Do you think they have a chance of overtaking WWE with the merge with New Japan, TNA, and Target? Just imagine Kenny coming for your title. Does that make sense to you? I hope. Please explain.
That does make sense. No, that does make sense. I don't know. If you had asked me kind of a couple of years ago when AEW had started and they were literally selling out shows within minutes, I couldn't believe it, because everyone was like, oh, this is just an independent show that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega is going to be running and stuff. And then they sold out that arena in Las Vegas. Was it Las Vegas? I can't even remember the first couple of shows. They sold it out in 5 minutes, 25,000 people. And I was like, wow, that is insane. And at that point, I thought, these guys mean business. This is really going to be a big competition for WWE. But I don't know, personally, I feel like the WWE has just too much name value. It has just too much of a casual fan base, because and the big thing there is that the reason that I feel like that is because AEW, I think it wasn't too long ago, they ran a show after one of the NFL matches. It was on TV after a big NFL match. And Chris Jericho, who was a massive name in WWE, was on screen first. He was like, yeah, get Jericho out there so that the casual people, the people who don't know anything about wrestling really, would watch and go, oh my God, that's Chris Jericho. Let's watch this. And they kind of like, oh, that's the guy who used to be in WWE, Chris Jericho. They weren't saying, oh, that's the guy in AEW, Chris Jericho. They were saying that's the guy in WWE. So for me, I just think for a casual, everyone in the world really knows what WWE is. And I feel like AEW would really have to do something. I mean, I don't think they could do anything that would get to the point where everybody in the world knows what AEW is, Like everybody knows what WrestleMania is, everyone knows what SummerSlam is, and everyone knows what the Royal Rumble is. Even people who don't watch wrestling know what those things are.
Exactly, yes.
Whereas, does everyone know that about AEW? Yes, it's only like 2 or 3 years old, but I just don't know whether it would ever get to that point. Unfortunately, I would love that. I feel like it would get to the point where it's challenging NXT, which is a WWE brand, which it currently is. It's kind of going head to head with NXT at the moment in America. So I feel like it would get to the point where it gets bigger than NXT quite easily. But that next jump where even if it gets like better ratings than Raw or SmackDown, I don't think it would get as big. You know what I mean?
Variety, the name.
Yeah, in terms of that, the name variety.
Yeah, I think Carl's put one up here as well. So I'm what you would call half-blood, if that makes a Harry Potter reference.
Oh, okay.
So I am living in Cumbria, Carlisle, with you, Ryan. Not necessarily with you. We're not that close yet. But
it's just in my kitchen over there. It's over there.
Bring the sugar. Bring the sugar. Yeah. Oh, I should have done it the other way. You're there. But I'm originally from Suffolk, Norfolk. I don't have a tractor outside, if that's what you're thinking. But this question is going to be relative, again, to you from Carl. So WAW in Norwich is their local school. Have you been down to train with those guys at all? Do you know who they are? Is this a circle that you're aware of? Go for it.
Yeah, so I haven't been down to train with them, but I know talk about the previous question. WAW know them very well. The Knight family are very good friends of Target Wrestling. We have them on a lot at our place. So we have like the UK Hooligans on quite regularly. Ricky Knight Jr. is actually our current High Octane Division champion. And the UK Hooligans, Roy and Zach Knight, they were our tag team champions, but then unfortunately Roy, he was basically looking to step down from wrestling, so they vacated the titles. Was it around about a year and a half ago? Well, this past year has just been crazy because I keep thinking it wasn't that long ago because it was only like maybe 4 or 5 shows ago, but it's actually nearly a year and a half ago, which is insane. So yeah, WAWs are very good friends of Target. And we get quite a few of their guys on, and hopefully some of our guys will get down there at some point as well. But yeah, the Knight family are awesome. We love having them on. They're absolutely fantastic value for money. The UK Hooligans are one of the most entertaining tag teams in this whole country. Like they could. So they went for like a 18-month break from being in Target, something like that. It was a little while. They weren't on our shows for a while. And then they came back, and it was like you wouldn't think they'd gone because the fans just were on their feet, loving them, chanting hooligans, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, just awesome people. And yes, so we are very much aware of them. And we are hoping to have them back when everything gets back to normal. Ricky Knight Jr. will definitely be back because he's a current champion. And I think the UK Hooligans are wanting their rematch for the tag team titles. So yeah, that's definitely on the cards.
Right, we're going to step forward into current events then. So yeah. with Target Wrestling, you've got, just as you can imagine, like when you do think of WWF, WWE now and stuff like that, obviously there are belts, there are titles, there are matches, there are grudge matches, there are newcomers, there are old comers, there are people that are obviously massive in this scene that, again, people like Carl and whatnot will know very much about who these people are and belts that they're going for. So Is this belt situation? Forgive my naivety. Is this belt situation? Is it the same as like boxing? You can have 14 different heavyweight champions in the world because there are different belts available for different clubs and different shows and stuff. Is that the
Yeah.
same thing? So
So
you've got like go for it.
well, in terms of wrestling, it's there's I suppose you would separate them in different federations, kind of thing. So there's quite a few promotions all over the UK. Target Wrestling being one of them, and within Target Wrestling, we have 3 titles. We have the tag team titles, the high octane division title, and the heavyweight title. So those are the 3 championships that we have on our show. But yeah, in terms of like different heavyweight titles, there'll be basically every federation in the country will have their own champion, if that makes sense. So, like ICW in Glasgow, PCW in Preston, Rev Pro in London, that kind of stuff. They have their own. So they have like the ICW champion, PCW champion, and we have our Target champion. And it's different people and different shows because it depends on who's low. There's like a lot of people down south work the London shows. We're quite well suited where we are, to be honest, because we get a lot of people down from Glasgow. We have a lot of people coming up from like Manchester or further down. We have people coming from Newcastle. So we are a really good hub for wrestling where, if you were in Glasgow and trying to get someone from Manchester, that's like a 5-hour trip. Whereas for us, it's only 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and same for Glasgow. If they were going down there, that's like 5 hours where it's only 2 hours to us. So we're in a nice central location for getting as much of the best talent as possible to our shows.
Right.
So, so in terms of the 3 titles, we have the tag team title, high octane title, which have champions at the moment. And the heavyweight championship is vacant at the moment. So that's why we are now running this tournament to crown a new champion this year, hopefully, when we're back.
Again, beforehand, we'll add this question in from Darren, who will hopefully be joining me at some point later on this evening. Surprise. So, in times of COVID and alternative entertainment available in so many different platforms, how do we keep wrestling relevant and alive for future generations? Have you found a collapse in the demand for wrestling, or have you seen a demand for it, if anything?
If anything, really, well, in terms of Target Wrestling, there's a huge demand for it now that we feel, and we were absolutely gutted that because in the summer last year, when kind of the COVID numbers were really quite low, we kind of went through that first wave, and then we, kind of August time, the numbers were really low, and we were really confident that we would be able to put on a show and that things would be getting back to normal. And there was so much demand for that show. We were going to run a show in November, and there was so much demand for it. We didn't put tickets on sale, but there was so much buzz. And just for us to say, oh yeah, we're confident that a show's going to happen in November, just raised so many people's spirits. But the reality of that, unfortunately, was it was never, unfortunately, going to happen. With their numbers started going back up again, and the restrictions and tier systems and all that kind of stuff, it just was never going to happen. But yeah, we feel now that definitely there is a lot of demand for wrestling shows because people have been without for so long, and entertainment is what's kept people going in this mess, and I think the government need to really, not to get political, but the government really need to look at what they're going to do after this, because the only thing that has kept people sane through this whole thing is like music, books, media on TV and stuff like that, and people have this craving for live entertainment, whether that is wrestling shows, comedy shows, live music, anything like that. So I genuinely think when people, when we get back to that point in time when we can put on stuff, there's going to be so much demand. And for promoters, that's going to be a great thing because there's going to be so much buzz. It's going to be like a brand new, I can't describe what it's going to be like when we put on a show again, because there's going to be so much pent up excitement and demand, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to walk through the curtain on that first show and see everyone and be able to high five people and hear people chant and see all the guys backstage and be able to maybe go for a few drinks afterwards without ordering a substantial meal, just fantastic. I just can't wait for the whole thing. So yeah, in terms of keeping everything going, I just think that now more than ever, I actually think, well, as long as people are okay now and can keep their business alive, when we get to that point in time when we can actually do stuff, I think it's going to be like fantastic. I just think there's going to be so much excitement, and there's going to be so many people wanting to experience shows that I think there's just going to be such a great demand. It's going to be brilliant for everybody. But yeah, can't wait for that day to come.
Right. So I guess the question is, what criteria makes a heavyweight contender? Like, I know this is obviously going to sound like a really stupid question, but
no.
I've seen obviously videos of some people, which we'll go into a minute, what the whole big hype on your page is recently as well. What makes a heavyweight champion? What makes, a contender? What are the criteria?
Well, for me, in terms of Target Wrestling, we've had a big variety of people as our heavyweight champion. So when you think about, I think for people from the outside, when you think of heavyweight champion, you kind of think of heavyweights, like Andre the Giant, the Big Show, Yokozuna, big giant people. But you can have literally anyone anyone can be a heavyweight champion, as a wrestler. You can have high flyers as heavyweight champions. You can have big guys as heavyweight champions. So for me, in terms of having a guy who is the main guy, because if they are the Target heavyweight champion, they're like front and center on a poster. They are, the one that is going to be in the main event of every show, the big match. Every show will revolve around this person. So it has to be someone that engages with the crowd. And it has to be someone that the crowd either connect with in a positive or a negative way, whether they're a good guy or a bad guy. If none of those things, if none of those things happen and the crowd don't care about that person, then you might as well throw it out the window, because the whole point is for the crowd to care. So as long as the crowd and the fans care, either in a good way or a bad way, if it makes them happy or it makes them angry that this person is champion, then that's solid, So for me, it could be anyone, anyone who is a professional wrestler who fits that criteria could end up going on to be the champion and being the new poster boy, essentially, of the promotion.
Yes. So, right. So you're saying that if I was a professional wrestler, for instance, my stature and size doesn't come into it then, really? No. It's okay.
No, so for example, we have at Target a wrestler called Josh Terry. Just for example, we'll go with Turbo Josh Terry, who is, shorter than me. I don't know how short he is, but he's not small, but he's not tall. He's, average height. And he's a good muscly lad, but he's not like Hulk Hogan. But he connects with the crowd in such a positive way. So, for example, if Josh Terry won the heavyweight championship when we're back, the place would erupt. The place would absolutely erupt in a positive way. And he's not like, as I say, he's not a huge, he's jacked, but he's not like Hogan or anything like that. He's not like a 6'5" guy out, but what he does in the ring, he connects with the crowd in a great way. And same on the flip side of that, another name out there, for example, we'd have like Damon Havoc, Mr. Damon Havoc, who's been in Target Wrestling for so many years. He is, I think he's trying to establish himself as British short style. So people who are watching, who know Target Wrestling will know, it's kind of like, how far away is he? He's very small. He's like 4'5", something like that. He's kind of like, my daughter's size. But the crowd hate him. Like, they hate him because he's so small and because he's so, he's just this angry little man. But if he won the heavyweight championship, the crowd would care, because they would be like, oh my God, how could Damon Havoc be the heavyweight champion? So again, he engages with the crowd in a completely different way. Whereas they love to boo him and they love to give him crap and all that kind of stuff. So, it doesn't matter, I suppose, in terms of size, more in terms of engagement and character and how well they are over either way with the crowd.
I think, right, so we've got some questions now. We can go back to the old
Yeah,
questions
go
that
for
they
it
were
then, man.
flying in.
Let's go for it.
Right, so, all right, from Stephen. Hey, Ryan. Hope you and the family are well. We all wish that as well. Yes, hope they are well.
Yes.
During time at Target, which wrestler have you ended up being starstruck at? And this is the question as well. You've had WWF, WWE celebrities and fighters coming to Target, obviously all the way over here in freezing cold Cumbria and other places.
Yeah.
I mean, who have you seen either in your ring or in person? I reckon is probably the question. In your ring or in person, would you say has probably given you that sense of, okay, this is real?
Yeah, so there's definitely two different answers to that one, in terms of outside of Target Wrestling and inside of Target Wrestling. So in terms of for Target and the names we've had on, I would probably say maybe like, I think I'm trying to think of all the names that we've had on. Probably for me, there was two. One would have been the Monster Abyss, who we had on in Target Wrestling probably 3 or 4 years ago. So as I talked about at the start of the show, I was a massive, massive TNA fan in the mid to late 2000s. And the Monster Abyss was one of the reasons why I started watching TNA, because I was like, this guy's awesome because he's huge, he's in his hardcore matches, and he can move. He could really move back then. And yeah, we had him on a show, and I was just like, Chris Parks, it's the Monster Abyss. And I got to spend a lot of quality time with the guy, and he was a really, really great guy. And I was just like, when you just kind of like, oh my God, it's this guy, it's the Monster Abyss. And then probably the second biggest one from that would be probably Tommy Dreamer, I would say, when we had Tommy Dreamer on. And Tommy Dreamer was obviously a massive star in the 90s but actually probably there's another one after that as well. Like, we've had loads of big names on, but Tommy Dreamer was a massive star in the 90s. And when we had Tommy Dreamer on, it was like the perfect timing, because we had him on in February 2018, I think it was.
Okay.
Well, he returned to WWE in the December of 2017. So only 2 months before he was meant to be on our show. He was on WWE TV on Raw. He was wrestling on the pay-per-views, teaming with the Dudley Boys. And actually, as soon as he appeared, I was like, we've got you booked for a show in Carlisle in like 6 or 7 weeks' time. And I emailed his manager, and I was like, is he still okay for this? Because he's on WWE TV. He's literally going through a table on WWE TV right now. Is he going to be allowed to wrestle on an independent show in Carlisle in 6 weeks' time? Yeah, no bother. And I was really worried for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was worried that this is going to go wrong. WWE, because that show was sold out as well. It was like 350 people or 400 people, sold out, no tickets on the door. And it's going to get to like 2 days before the show, and I'm going to get a phone call saying, Tommy Dreamer's not coming now, even though the show's sold out. I was bricking it. But he was there, he arrived, and everything was great. And then probably the other one on top of that for Target would be Too Cool, when we had the late, such a great guy when both of them were on, the late Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher, and Scotty Too Hottie. So we had both of them on as Too Cool, and I was really young. That was before I kind of got to run Target. This was like me just being the ring announcer, but I went to meet them at the hotel and kind of get them sorted. And I was just like, oh my God, it's Too Cool. Like one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Here at the Ibis Hotel in Carlisle, I'm checking them in. Brian Christopher was just such this crazy, crazy guy. And then Scotty Too Hottie they couldn't have been further apart, to be honest, in terms of each other. Like Grandmaster Sexay was this ridiculous over-the-top guy, which we expected. We knew that's what he was going to be like. And very, very similar. I've never met someone so close to their in-ring persona than him. He literally walked into the Ibis, and I was like, he was just wearing normal clothes, but if he was wearing his Grandmaster Sexy outfit with the hat, with his with the goggles and stuff, I would have thought, yeah, there's the he was just acting like the Grandmaster Sexy at the hotel reception. He was mental. And then Scotty Too Hottie as well. who was with him, who I've actually gone on to have a great relationship and friendship with Scotty Too Hotty, because we have a mutual bond over Disney theme parks and theme parks in general. So we got on really well. We got on like a house on fire. We will message each other sometimes on Facebook and have a crack. And I always like to keep up to date with his adventures because he lives in Orlando. He trains. He's one of the trainers for NXT WWE. So I always like to keep track of what he's doing, and it's just really cool to see him out doing such an amazing job in NXT. But yeah, so we brought Scotty Too Hotty back because he was such a great guy. Just because I really enjoyed chatting to him. You know, it was just one of those things where you're like, and then sometimes that's the best thing when you have that personal connection with them. You're like, I can't wait to bring them back. And speaking of personal connections, I mean, we're kind of going off topic of it here, but not being starstruck, but in terms of personal connections, probably the main one who a lot of the people who are watching this for Target fans will know is Paul London, who we had on, who was a massive, like Paul London was a big star in WWE. And we had him on and he was fantastic, put on a great, incredible match with Shady Actress. And we've had him on 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 times he's been back, to the point where he's kind of one of us. He's one of, people think he just lives in Dentno in Carlisle. You know, people just think not thinking he actually lives in LA, you know, because when he's on the show, everyone's like, that's Paul London, he's one of our own. And that's like a massive star from WWE who, like, Target Wrestling is essentially his second home in wrestling. So that's crazy. But yeah, in terms of, those are the ones in terms of starstruck. Phoebe said there, brutal. I don't even know what that means. Brutal. Brutal.
I think that's you were when you were describing the wrestler of short stature.
David Hammock will find it funny. You know, he'll find it funny. It's like he gets off a coach and someone's like, "How far away is he?" They'll find it funny. She's living that. I thought I'd maybe upset someone, but no, she'll like that.
So while I'm looking at that, obviously in that promo video that we shoot at the beginning, which there are many more of, and if you go away from this and you're not a Target Wrestling fan, please become one. Go over to their Facebook page, click the like button, check out what's going on, because even more recently, more now than ever, it's really picking up speed, ready for the hopeful return of wrestling at some point this year. There's a big announcements, obviously. Before we get into that and finish off the show, how have you found the differences between male, female, and young kids and old adults and stuff like that? I mean, obviously wrestling, I mean, what's the youngest wrestler that you've had come through your doors that's necessarily done a live show? I mean, where's the starting age?
Yeah, usually you kind of have to be at least 16 to start training, because there's so many factors to it, you know, when you're training. Whereas, you know, you've got to think about when you're a kind of young person. We have a lot of kids messaging us, well, parents of kids, wanting to train and stuff like that. But it's difficult because their bodies aren't fully grown. So you don't really want to be going into a ring and bashing it about when you're still growing and you're not really fully, you know, there yet yourself. So really we're trying to say 16 is kind of a good-ish starting age. Somewhere between 16 and 18, you know, that's the youngest that we kind of look at really for starting in the school. But we have kind of looked at 14 kind of classes, you know, like 14 and under classes. But it does get a bit difficult at that point in time, because then there's a lot more difficulties in terms of insurance and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we're trying to say 16 is a good age to start, you know. Then you're kind of turning more into an adult. You know your own mind, you know what you want. So yeah, 16 is a good place to start.
With Target Wrestling and wrestling in general, when I, again, forgive the naivety because I'm not up to date with wrestling whatsoever, but when I was watching it as a youth, not only was there a lot of male WWE superstars, there was like significantly famous female WWE superstars. I think if I go back, the oldest one, I think it was China, I think her name was. Is that China?
Yeah, I mean,
You've
that
got
was like
stuff
the
like that.
big start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I
Women's
mean,
wrestling.
based in Target Wrestling as well, do you have a lot of female wrestlers as well that are involved as well?
Yeah, we have a really, really strong women's division. Phoebe, who was commenting there, she's one of our wrestlers. Ivy Mist.
Oh, okay.
She's probably her and a lady called Sienna. They're probably our two main homegrown female talents. They can go toe-to-toe with the men quite easily, no bother at all. So they are to the point where they can wrestle the men, they can wrestle the women, they can do tag matches, hardcore matches, whatever they can do, they can do that. But yeah, we get some, and we've also got Chelsea, who's one of our women, who's kind of more of a homegrown talent as well. But there's so many out there that we're getting. So yeah, we've got a really, really strong women's division in Target. We don't have a women's championship yet, but we know that is something that the fans want eventually, or now really, they want it now. It's not eventually, people have requested it in terms of let's get it now. So that is something that we're definitely looking at for the future and for when we come back, because because we have now got really this solid base of female wrestlers. They need something to fight for, so that's definitely something that we are hoping to get, at some point soon. And when we get back, that's maybe going to be on the cards. Once we've crowned a new heavyweight champion, that'll probably be the next thing that we
Phoebe is literally smashing out the comments in the comment section. She's pretty much telling you that you've got one choice, or you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah, well, Phoebe has powerbombed me through 2 steel chairs before, so I need to listen to what she has to say and take that. Yeah.
Right, so we're going to go into the main reason you're here tonight, and that is to promote the Heavyweight Championship of Target Wrestling.
Yes.
So this massive thing that's smacked down, the thing that's now like all over your Facebook and social media is that there is a vacant heavyweight championship up for grabs. And you, rather than obviously going out there and say, hey, are you available to come wrestle? You've said, nope, this is open. I want this open. So what you've done is you've requested to say, hey guys and girls, send us a promo. Let us know you're serious. Let the fans know you're serious. If they like you, we like you. You've got a chance. And they've been flying in. As you've said to me when we've had our pre-interview chats, you were like, hey, if I got between 5 and 10 people, it would make good advertisement. Is your phone memory full yet?
It's getting there. It's definitely getting there. We've probably put up so far, I would probably say we've put up maybe 12 or 13 promos up over the past 2 weeks, and we've still got probably another 15 to 20 that we can put up, really. It's gone really crazy. So the idea behind it was it's 2 things. The first thing is that we wanted to try and get some fresh faces in Target Wrestling. And because we've been away for so long, we've been away a year, we'll still have our core roster, but we just wanted to get some new faces in there. Some people that maybe we haven't seen before, and freshen things up a little bit. So we thought this was a great way to kind of see who was available, see who would want to be a part of it all. And, if you send us a promo, that's already a bit more of dedication towards, you want to be here, you want to be a part of this show, that you want to be on the shows and stuff like that. So it was kind of that, to try and get some new faces out there. Well, actually, it was probably threefold then in that case, because the second thing as well is we wanted to keep the Target fans entertained and engaged as well. And there's only so much you can do when there's no shows on. So we've had quite a few things. We did like an advent calendar over Christmas. We did like wrestler bios before that. We did highlight reels for different people on our roster. We're just trying to put things up that's going to keep people entertained, very similar to what you're doing with this kind of show, over lockdown, so people so they don't forget about us, but also keep entertained as well. And also that as well would fall into the wrestlers side of it, where, you know, they would have something to do to keep them entertained, you know, because we don't want people to forget about the wrestlers. So the more, if you have, you know, time to do a promo video, that kind of keeps you ticking along, that keeps you busy, keeps you entertained and keeps you relevant. So even if we don't, for example, use all of the people who, which we probably won't, let's just throw that out there. We probably won't have every single person who has submitted a video on the show. That would be impossible, unfortunately, because we'd have a tournament that would last about 3 years. But, you know, what we want is to give people a bit of publicity, a bit of entertainment. So, but a lot of the people who have submitted videos who people haven't heard of before, like brand new people, will be in the tournament. So a lot of these people who have sent us a video have got themselves work on the back of this. But even those who don't potentially get in the tournament, it's just, you know, a great way to get your name out there, keep everyone entertained, and obviously keep you ticking along and keeping everyone just something to look forward to and something to do. And that's the main thing about it, because there's so many, you know, we're just getting like, we're not getting stagnant, but people out there, you know, need something to focus on. And that's, so all of those factors basically came to this tournament. And we were always going to run a tournament for the heavyweight championship, but this was just a bit of a different idea that we thought we could try this. And if no one sent us a video, then, you know, we tried, but loads of people sent us a video, and getting their new names out there and keeping everyone entertained before we can get a show on. And also for the brand new people who have sent us a video, so it's one thing that we put like a promo, you know, to say like a match announcement for a show and say this guy versus this guy, you know, but we don't know who that guy is, or we don't know who this person is. Whereas now, when we put one of these guys up in the tournament, and everyone's going to be like, oh, I remember that guy from this promo. That was a great promo. So I'm really excited to see him on the show, as opposed to who the hell's this guy? You know, so it works. The whole thing just works really well, and we just now need permission to put on the show and do it. But this tournament's going to span over multiple shows, because it's going to be multiple people in this, so it's probably going to run somewhere between 3 to 4, maybe more shows in different venues, kind of building up to the final and stuff like that. So it's going to be a massive tournament that it's going to really turn into something pretty damn good, I think. So it's going to be really good. Loads of new faces, loads of old faces. So it's going to be really good stuff when we eventually get back to it.
Well, first off, Ryan, thank you ever so much for coming on the show tonight and talking us and smashing out all of the wrestling facts and telling us about Target Wrestling. I, for one, am now going to be a reborn fan of wrestling, especially now I know that you're on the doorstep. So thank you very much for coming on the show and talking to us about it. And secondly of all, when we do get news that the shows and events can go back on, I'd love to have you back on the show, and we could really hopefully promote this as well and get some more followers and fans your way. And if there's any wrestlers out there that would like to come on a show with me on Chaturday Live and Ryan, and maybe we'll have like an even bigger conversation about wrestling, and maybe you can, it's past 9 o'clock, you can slag somebody off and call somebody out live on our show. That is perfectly fine. I'd like to have the male and the female wrestlers on. Would love to have a conversation if anybody's up for that, especially just for entertainment purposes. If you're all right with that, Ryan, in the future, would that be okay?
Oh, 100%, definitely, absolutely. I mean, I think it'd be a really good thing, actually, especially when we get the tournament again, see if we can get a couple of wrestlers on and they can fight it out virtually before they get into the ring. You know, that's a good thing.
Ryan, it's been fantastic having you on the show. It's like you say, I'm definitely going to have you back, and we're going to stay in contact. And now I live in the Cumbrian area of Carlisle with you, literally in the kitchen. It's that way, next door.
Yeah, that way.
That's when you see my hand come through.
I've got the wrong way. That just didn't work whatsoever, unfortunately. Oh dear.
No, that was not scripted.
I'm looking at myself on the screen, and I'm kind of like, there we go.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thank
We
you
could,
ever
we,
so-
I think we could honestly, we could talk for absolute hours.
Yes,
you know,
we could.
kind of
Yes,
stuff.
we
It's
could.
ridiculous.
I actually have another guest waiting in the wings, actually, as we speak, who's going to come on and talk to us about his page. And we're very good friends now. We've been speaking and we're conjoined at the hip because this show, for those that haven't read the bio already of the show and that are here, obviously speaking to Ryan, this is Chaturday Live. My name is Jason Robinson. It's put together to offer entertainment for everybody in lockdown and obviously suffering with mental health. We're here to just offer some normality. We don't talk about news. We don't talk about politics. We are here to just have fun. Every weekend or every week at some point, we have a brand new guest on of some sort of interest or difference. If you're in the Cumbria and Carlisle area and you'd like to advertise your small business, big business, or come on the show and chat about anything, absolutely anything, please hit me up and get in contact. I'd love to speak to you, have you on the show. It's about giving something back. There is no fees, but backhanded £5 notes don't go amiss. It's perfectly fine, you know. But yeah, if you don't mind, if you guys from Tiger Wrestling are over here, like you say, we are based, I am based in Cumbria, Carlisle, and I'd love to meet more of you when we're out of lockdown as well. Give the page a like on Chaturday Live and vice versa. My guys, if you'd like to go to Tiger Wrestling, give their page a like and a follow as well. Just try and stay connected and stay happy, and just remember, stay safe as well. Ryan, it's been fantastic having you on the show. Thank you ever so much for coming on, and we will have you on again. But we're going to say goodbye to you now, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers, Ryan. Goodbye.
You too. Thanks very much, man. Thanks for really appreciate it.
No, not at all. It's our pleasure. Right, where are we? I'm here. Right, so our next guest is a returning a guest of ours. He's the co. That's all right. Don't worry about it, Darren. It's like, it's like tonight, Matthew. It's fine. It's fine. I can see him in my little lobby, so that's fine. Our next guest is going to pop on for 15 minutes or so, just to describe and talk about Carl in the community, which is Care and Real Love. It's a joint page. They've kindly let me live stream onto their page on the weekend as well, which I'm very, very grateful for. But in return, for those that are still following us and don't know about it, I'm going to bring him on now because there has been so much going on over the last 3 weeks with support groups and cooking classes and all sorts. I'd love to bring him on the show, and if that's okay with you guys, to stick around and hear what's going on. So please welcome Darren. Good evening, Darren.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. Yeah, we've had you on here. So from Carl in the Community, Care and Real Love. Obviously, when you was on the show just after Christmas and whatnot, we were talking, and obviously you've set up your Facebook page and group, obviously to offer support and entertainment. Exactly the same thing, but yours is a lot more widespread with a lot more followers and a lot more interaction on a daily, hourly basis, it seems. It's like I can't put my phone down because something of some sort is going on your page.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
I kind of remembered the other day that for you to broadcast Chaturday, we had to make you an admin on the group, didn't we?
Yes.
Which means that you get all of the notifications.
I get every notification.
Oh, sorry.
I
apologise.
It's fine. It's fine. So what's going on? What's new? What's happened in the last couple of weeks then? What's the big news? What's going on?
Okay. Well, it's gone a bit crazy, truth be told. I set the group up back on the 12th of November. We'll just do a quick bit of history. Care and Real Loving was set up in 2012 by a friend of mine, Carl Lawson. He lost his battle with cancer. Before he did so, he asked me to set up a charity who would help people financially due to ill health. And so we did that. We ran that successfully for 8 years. Then COVID hit. And it was very much, we were a pub-based charity. We done our work in the community, but because our base was a local pub, all of a sudden it was very difficult to continue our work. So we thought, what can we do? Where can we go? And live streams, internet, Facebook, that was the way to kind of move forward. So we set up Carl in the community, Care and Real Love in the community. We're now, 3 months? Yeah, yesterday. So I was looking at my date there. Yesterday, it was 3 months since we set up the group. We've got 1,300 members. We have a 7-day-a-week live stream schedule. You've got everything from talks on well-being, mental health, stress, life management. You've got baking. You've got fitness. You've got quizzes. You've got entertainment. You've got literally a little bit of everything. And so, yeah, we triggered the 1,300 members about 2 days ago. And with that meant we could start our mentorship program, which means that we can connect different people in the community with other people. So the ones with some experience and some knowledge can share with people who are needing experience and knowledge. And yeah, it's just gone from strength to strength, and it's got a little bit out of control. It's grown so big.
That's good.
Bigger than we ever expected it to. But that, to me, that just kind of goes to show that in these really weird, strange times that we're living, where people need some support and some help more than ever. Like, they really do. And people are turning to internet for it. Originally, it was set up just so that if someone was scrolling through their news feed, seeing all of the depressive, yeah, I know you don't like to go too political.
No,
but show, but you know, it was a miserable world back November last year. Lockdown 2, there was very little to look forward to. Christmas was probably cancelled. COVID was just riding rampant through our country. And I just wanted to interject with something positive, something different into people's news feeds. That was why we set it up. Now it's grown into its own beast. And yeah, it's kind of taken off in a way that none of us could have imagined. And daily we are supporting and helping members of our community through physical aid, as in care packages, food packages, that sort of thing, as well as mental aid and helping people with their own minds and that sort of thing. So that's where we're at right now.
With the like you say, you've got several different programs going on daily, all through the week. Your last one that you've recently just had is your laid-back admins coffee chat, which means it's the guys that are on the admin side that are kind of monitoring what's going on. You sit back, you're laid back, you have a chat, you just kind of, really, this is, how do we say it? This is the breath of fresh air for you guys, because obviously all day long you're preparing what's coming on the show, setting things up, constant posts, updates. This is where the guys get to see you, obviously the other guys that are on the admins as well, just chillax, relax, talk absolute bonkers, and just offer some sort of entertainment of some normality, just to say, hey, we are exactly like you. We like to have a can of Carlsberg or whatever it may be, a glass of wine, a cheeky whiskey.
It's coffee time. We drink strictly caffeine products only.
I know that's a lie, because I've seen you on Coffee Time with beer in your cup.
Quite honestly, there's wine in this mug right now.
But the Coffee Time, it's a great way for people, again, to interject and just throw some random absolute nonsense your way, and just to spur a conversation and say, hey, forget about the daily norm. Let's just have some fun for a while, shall we?
Basically, the reason we set it up, I call it Coffee Time because obviously a lot of our members have certain issues with substance abuse, with addictions, and during lockdown, I think some news was released a couple of weeks ago that alcohol-related deaths have soared. So I call it Coffee Time because it's not like, I'd love to call it pub night, because that's what we'd be doing normally.
Yes.
I don't want to call it that because that alienates people. So it's coffee time. I drink my alcohol out of a mug, so you don't know it's alcohol. But that's what I'd be doing of this sort of evening anyway. But it is exactly that. It's the sort of conversation you'd meet and have with your friends down the pub or in the coffee shop. And it's kind of a no holds barred, because, like I say, throughout the week, we're doing everything we can to help people. We do our live streams on very serious topics and some very informative topics. We also do our light entertainment with some quiz nights and that sort of thing. We've had a new one start this week called Mastermind, which I'll get onto in a little bit. But we do all of that during the week. So I thought, let's put a human side to the admins. Let's make us real people. And what's better than a conversation as we would normally have in a Facebook group via video? I say that we'd normally have I sent you a photo a little earlier, didn't I?
You did. So what I could recommend is for anybody that's watching us now, for those that are still watching, possibly from the Target Wrestling side, thank you very much for sticking around. Karen Real Love in the Community is based in Suffolk, Norfolk area, where I'm originally from with Lowestoft. But the entertainment they put on their social media page is for everybody. You can pop in, you can join in with the cooking classes. It doesn't matter where you're from. You can join in with the conversation, the fitness workouts with Matt. It doesn't matter where you're from. That's the whole good point about the internet. If you're tuning in, it's fine. You can enjoy the entertainment side of it from anywhere. But obviously, the help is mainly based for the Lowestoft, Suffolk area for the locals. But the entertainment is there for everybody, so feel free to crack on. But yes, you did send me a photo. I won't necessarily put it up on the screen, obviously, for pure embarrassment.
I mean, if you want to, you can.
but the again, the admins, they were Darren was there in what could only be described as an NHS worker off the back of a 72-hour shift. You know, it's kind of like you have to go back and watch Coffee Time this evening back on their Facebook page. You can watch them back. Check out Darren. As soon as he comes live on the screen, you'll see exactly what I'm on about. And then, obviously, you've had Rick and Eddie, obviously.
Rick and Eddie. Yes.
Again, you have to watch it for it to make sense, but it's pure comedy for the first 5 minutes, and it just like stretches out for an hour, so it's amazing.
Yeah, we can't get out.
It's fine. It's fine. It's amazing.
But yeah, that's just one of the features that we do, just to make the main purpose of that feature is to make sure that people realise that we humans too. We, as the admins, guys who run this group, and you've got Chloe, Donna, Matt, and Heidi, who do some fantastic work with the community. They're the other admins, and I can't thank them enough, because this was just a harebrained idea from me a few months ago, and these guys have run with it, and nothing is too much trouble for them, and they're dressing up. I mean, and you've got John, our moderator, as well, who basically he monitors the conversation and makes sure everyone's behaving themselves. Well, tonight he decided that he was going to dress as Richie from Bottom's devil costume. He's been sewing this week to make sure he had a pair of horns, pair of tights up, and just for the sake of going live for an hour on a Saturday night, to make sure that anyone who's sat at home on their own or struggling has something to watch and distract them. It's like that level of commitment is just, I don't know, it humbles me to know that we're in a community of people who are willing to give that much for so little gain, because all we're doing is just trying to entertain and distract and help some people. So, hats off to everyone who's involved with the community, because there's a lot of people. It's not just the admins. And it's, like I say, it's humbling to see people giving up so much for so little.
Yes. So again, from me personally, I like to say thank you very much for letting me be a part of that community still. Obviously, even though I am 370 odd miles away from Lowestoft, you've incorporated my Suffolk roots and you've kept me in loop, and I do appreciate that. I've got a connection to home which battles my homesickness, because I still feel like I'm connected. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Darren, please, once again, as we've said on the show before, keep up the fantastic work. Every one of you, the admins and everybody that comments daily, hourly, minutely, just to offer entertainment. And there's, even when you and the admins don't have your phones on you and you're working and doing your daytime jobs, or you're having a bath, somebody just off the whim just swoops straight into the comments section and just offers that support. And it's like, wow. That is a community. You are not admin. You are nothing to do with setup of this page, and you are exactly the reason why the page was set up. You're a community. Exactly. You've come in, you've swooped in, you've asked for help, and just one of your neighbours on a different street in the same town has just popped up and said, "Hey, I can help." And
before you wrap up, George, just put the link for the group on
in the comments.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on 2 seconds. Oh,
just a banner.
In the banner. You want it in the banner?
Yeah, put in a banner.
Right.
I know the platform you're using. You introduced me to it.
Yeah, I know, but I've got, as I've said to you, this is me on my own, all right? And I've got my 400 followers, which I am very grateful for, and you've got your 16 million followers. So you've got a little bit more experience with this. I've just started out.
Right. Sorry for plugging my own thing.
No, you crack on. Do you want to carry on talking while I'm doing this as well?
So we've just launched our mentorship program, which means that we are trying to connect people together within the community. So if you head to Carl in the Community's Facebook group and you have experience of mental health issues, parenting issues, financial issues, all sorts of various issues, you can become a mentor, which means that people within the community, only within the community, not outside of it, so it's a relatively private thing, they can contact you and ask for advice and for help. So if you're in a position where you think I might be able to help some people, join Carl in the Community, sign up to be a mentor. And likewise, if you're someone who is currently struggling and thinking I need some help, pop to Carl in the Community, hit the mentorship button, and see if there's anyone in there who could provide you with some information, some support, some advice, and we're just going to match people up. There we go. There it is.
That's all right. Hang on. I'm going that extra mile for you.
What are you doing?
I don't know yet. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Shall I keep talking?
Well, you keep talking, mate. I'm going to log off in a bit. You can just carry on with Chaturday Live. I mean, they all like you more than me anyway. It's fine.
Also, I'm giving up alcohol for March. Did you hear about that one, Jay?
I have. I know. Does that mean you're giving up the mug or just the alcohol?
I'm keeping the mug. It's going to have some sort of herbal tea related product in it.
Yeah. I've smacked the link. I've smacked the link straight into the in the comment section, so you can smack on that in the comment section.
Over there, somewhere.
In the comment section. It's there.
So Epilepsy Action is a cause that's quite close to my heart at the moment. And a friend of mine lost his daughter at the beginning of this year due to an epileptic seizure. My brother's epileptic. I know a lot of people suffer from epilepsy, and I've been a drinker. I've had my battles with alcohol addiction, but in recent years I've been a social drinker, and I generally have a glass of wine or a beer a night. And I'm giving up alcohol completely for the whole of March. I picked one of the longest months to do it.
You fool, I tell you.
Let's hope Boris doesn't open those pubs on the 8th of March.
Oh, yeah. Oh, blatantly. I will deliberately drive all the way back to Suffolk just to stand outside your house with a pint if he does. I want to see you suffer, like scratching your eyeballs out. But
Give it to me, please.
Yes. There is a link for that as well. So again, wherever you're watching from, click the links on the comment section, head over to Carl in the Community. You will see a link in there for exactly for what Darren's doing. He's got a link in there. He's fundraising. You can donate and you can watch him slowly from the 1st of March all the way to the end of March deteriorate and lose his inner soul and will to live. And by the end of the month, he will be a shell of a man, and it will be fantastic.
Do you know what? You genuinely can, because I'm going to do a live video diary daily.
Okay. All right. so is this like you say? It's the bottle of wine, isn't it? It's just like day 2, 8 hours in. I've killed the cat. It was me or him.
Do you know what? The worst thing is I'm just going to scooch over this one. Just while my player is a table. You can see some bottle lids there.
Yes.
That's my stash.
It's just the stash.
So right now we have 15 days till the end of February. I have a choice.
Go hard or go home.
Dilapidate. Just get rid of the stash.
Mm-hmm.
Or leave it there as a reward, maybe.
Yeah.
Or as a
you can do that, or like you say, I mean, you can go hard or go home. Or if you're like me, I get like a home delivery. So even if I drank all of what I had left every Saturday, I'd just get my delivery turn up, and it would be a painful reminder because I forget to take it off. I am in a wine club. So what I reckon you should do is that if you ever invite me to any one of your admin evenings for the entertainment, is that on the last night of February, we all raise a glass to Carl, and for the reason we're doing it, and obviously for your brother as well, and the reason for the charity why you're doing it, and raise a glass and say, this is your last one of February, and we can all go out with a cheers and kind of support you, pat you on the back.
And I drink everything in the house.
Yeah, live on the screen. So Donna, if that is the case and he's going to drink everything in the house, I suggest you get Jaeger in. I suggest you get tequila rosé, all the disgusting stuff.
Tequila, proper tequila. That's what we need. With the worm
No.
And the lemon.
Yeah, but if it tastes nice, it's not painful. At the end of the day. And if you do tequila...
I like all of it. Tequila rosé.
And in answer to your question, Donna, yes, I would like to appear on Mastermind. That would be quite funny. My specialist subject is alcohol. So no, it's not at all. I wish.
Have you said? So do you know the premise of our Mastermind show?
I haven't seen it yet, but I will go back and watch it before I commit, because I don't know if I want to put myself in that kind of spotlight.
It's 3 rounds general knowledge, 1 round specialist subject, you against one other person. Winner stays on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Carl in the community.
Right. So anybody out there that's watching from not in Suffolk, again, because it's done remotely, we could have a cross-regional. You could have somebody from Cumbria up here on your Mastermind. Get over to Carl in the community. Get your application form in.
Yeah, just message
the group.
Message Chaturday, and I'm sure Jay will pass the message on.
Fantastic. Apart from drinking everything, is this because Donna, you're not doing the challenge, so you'd like to? I think Donna's going to need to drink what's left to put up with you for not drinking what's left.
Honestly, no. Luckily, she drinks amaretto. And I
like amaretto. It tastes like Dr. Pepper, amaretto and Coke. No, it doesn't. It tastes like marzipan.
She'll be in the other room laughing along to that right now, because the house will be full of amaretto for a month.
Oh, good. Oh, fantastic.
I'm climbing the walls, but haven't raised nearly 500 quid for epilepsy action. And so because of that, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick by it. And it is a worthwhile cause. So we make light of it, but it is definitely a worthwhile cause. And if anyone wants to sponsor me, just head over to Carl in the community. You'll see the links.
I will be, every time I do a Chaturday live show, I will make sure that I put a link to your charity in the show, and I will make sure I catch up with you, maybe depending on where I'm doing my show, depending on what time of day I'm doing my show and where you are. We might have you on a couple of times through the month as well, just to give us an update on how you're getting on.
I'm happy to nip in.
Just pop in.
I might just be screaming at you halfway through.
It's like, where you going? I'm going in. Not out. He's going in. He's popping in. He's popping in.
Popping in.
He's popping in.
Not out.
Oh, dearie me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for popping in.
That's all right.
Again, cross-regional. Make sure you head over. For those that are still here from Target, thank you very much for tuning in. Ryan, we will keep up with Ryan. We're going to have him back again, especially when we know that wrestling's coming back. We're going to have Ryan back. Thank you very much for Carl. Not your Carl, but the Carl.
The other Carl. Yeah.
The other Carl, for smashing out the questions today and being my hero. Thank you, Carl, if you're still watching.
Can I let you know a funny story about Carl?
You can. Go for it.
Well, I've got a lot of stories about Carl. I used to live with him.
Can you make it quick? I'll be down Witherspoons at 10.
Sorry. No, what? What? What are you doing in Cumbria? Just breaking rules?
Oh, yeah. I'm so close to Scotland, I don't know what's going on. So
you don't know what parts of England? Or... No, Carl messaged me one of the questions.
Okay.
I had to redirect him and say, this isn't the street. So I don't know what Carl's doing tonight. I don't know how many whiskies the lads had. But I had to basically, if we were in a pub, yes. I would, and I was one side and you were the other, I would have just kind of grabbed him and gone,
yeah.
There's your question.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was watching this and the question appeared. I thought, well, good boy.
It worked. It worked. At least he's not just randomly walking around the dark web, just asking strangers.
I haven't seen him for a while.
No. Right, can we put an appeal out? If anybody can find Carl, send him back. All right, Carl Moore.
I don't want him.
Well, don't send him back to anybody of worth. Just check in on him. Check his online pulse. Make sure he's all right, And if he's good, we're good. All right.
Honestly, about 3 a.m, we'll get another sing along from
You'll
him.
watch this back, and I'll get a message at 4:30 in going, "I'm here." It's like, mate, it's too late. It's too late. It's all right. An online search party. Can we all just troll the internet, just like randomly putting hashtag find Carl Moore?
I genuinely want to start that hashtag. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Head over to Carl in the community. Head over to my page. We're going to hashtag find Carl Moore. Let's get on with that.
Hashtag find Carl Moore. I like that one. I'm sure we'll have a conversation again very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for tuning in for us tonight. Thank you once again to Ryan Devlin from Target Wrestling. Thank you very much, Darren, for joining us, and everybody that comments. We do appreciate it. If you've commented, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, follow, and really help our pages, both of our pages, grow, reach the people they need to reach, to support the people they need to support, as well as offer some entertainment as well in lockdown. I've been Jason Robinson.
I've been Darren Steger Lewis. I don't normally say that. DSL. I've been DSL.
And this has been Chaturday Live. Have a good evening.